well, it started with my journey first, before anything.
Yes, let's start from there. A very important journey.
Honestly, I had a love-hate relationship with my hair. My hair just has given me problems since day dot. But I found it really hard to manage. I didn't really know what to do with it. And so I kind of did what I think a lot of Black women do, not everyone, but a lot of them do, or a lot of us do, which is just to either put chemicals in it or to wear extensions or weaves. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but my issue it became a crutch. And as a way of, I use it as a way of not having to really take care of my hair.
Yeah.
And then when I moved abroad, my hair started to fall out and I started to lose my hairline really badly, and I had to do something about it. And one of my friends recommended that I should potentially look at going natural. I remember thinking, has she lost her mind? I mean, I don't have that kind of hair. My hair doesn't move in the wind like what I see on the TV. I had to work through, but that was just my reasoning. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I remember going on different social media platforms, trying to kind of find my way and watching some of these really inspirational stories about how many of these women started on their natural journey. And I tried it and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And
so trial and error.
Yeah, very much so. And I finally found my way after much trial and error. And I remember thinking, I know that I'm not the only one going through this. So that's when I Love Natural Hair was born. It became a website where I just wanted to put lots of information on there and just be able to support and help other women and just kind of help women and men. Predominantly my target audience are women, just to help them to embrace who they are and love it and know how to work with it, empower them. That's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And now it's grown into something so much more than what I could ever imagine.
Oh my God, it's grown in a beautiful way.
You've been with me from day dot. So
yes, I have.
Growth
and you know what? It's been lovely just being on your journey with you, obviously from the sidelines and just watching you kind of like just progress and blossom.
You've been very much part of the journey. We're going to talk about that too.
It's true. But I think equally, because we talked about I think understanding where you said to me earlier, you don't necessarily think you've learned that much from your brand, but yes you have. Yes you have. Just using keywords, Carriene, just like understanding what the idea of empowerment, because that's what you're doing. As much as your fight was not understanding your own hair, it's rediscovering your own hair and the behavior of it, you know? And your fight was to help other people to do the same, you know? So in a sense, with that help, you were able to not only empower yourself, but you were able to empower anybody else coming to you as well for the advice, for the little guidance. You know, I say little, is huge guidance. Because, you know, I think a lot of people, especially with Afro hair, any kind of curly hair, sometimes we get so stuck in our sort of perming ways, you know, straightening the hair. But no, let's figure out what the general curl is going on. You know, how do we actually work with what we naturally have? And I think being able to do that and having the guidance with websites like yours, especially, that shows the step-by-step moments. And I think that's brilliant. It's so key to have.
Well, I hope so. I hope when people do see my brand that it comes with like it evokes different emotions, but hopefully positive ones. It's really funny. I didn't make my logo. I actually it was one of my husband's really good friends who is a graphic designer that actually made that particular logo. And the only reason why I chose those two particular colors was just because you know, you've got those t-shirts, I Love New York, and and it was kind of like the American typewriter writing font, with the black and red. That's kind of how that was born. So it wasn't kind of well thought through, like, you know, I don't know, red evokes anger. I hope that's not what you see when you look at it.
No, red can mean passion. Red can mean passion. It's a beautiful colour.
Exactly, about my natural hair. But that's kind of why those colours were chosen. But of course, I want my logo, when you see it, I want people to see it and feel proud. I want it to evoke emotion, positive emotion. I love my hair. I love who I am. It's actually even deeper than just your hair.
Absolutely. It goes so much more further. And I think, thankfully for you, your logo matches who you are. You know, 9 times out of 10, sometimes that doesn't actually happen at the very beginning of, you know, when we're all trying to put our businesses together. We understand, right, I need a logo, fine, tick. Okay, now I need my product, fine, tick. But wait, do they actually match what's going on with my business? Does it actually match who I am as a person? Do you know what I mean? And as much as we know, yes, this is the logo, but equally that logo is not your brand. You know, it's just the face of your business, right? And I think with your, I guess the journey that we sort of like been through with your stuff, learning that and seeing how your logo can now travel, how it translates into different aspects of your business, it's just, it's been lovely seeing it. And it's just, and I'm sure equally you sort of like taking on, okay, the red, as much as we have the red as the sort of predominant color, that red is also being the accent that just flows nicely throughout your site. It flows nicely throughout all your collateral, you know, I think it's helped you in that respect. You do it without realizing that you're doing it. And that's the whole point eventually, because it's your brand is you at the same time, you know what I mean? So it becomes effortless. So when you're talking about things, you become passion, you show that sense of empowerment. You talk about, I say become passionate, about what you do, because it's what hits home for you. Yeah. You know, and equally, you don't want that other person to feel lost. You don't want them to feel, I guess, misrepresented also. And 2, you don't want them to get the wrong information. You want to be able to give them that guidance. Absolutely. You know? And I think that's what you literally push that out. Well,
the only downside about that is it means the hair has to look good all the time.
All the time. You cannot have a down day.
Okay. Actually, I might be having one today, but we won't talk about that now.
It looks beautiful, my love. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
But it's all mine. That's the main thing.
Yes. You know? How natural, yes, darling. But yeah, I think that's what's been the beautiful part of your journey throughout this. It's been discovering certain things, but without you realizing it. You're actually carrying out your brand. Your brand isn't just the visual side of things. It's also you, you know?
Yeah, it definitely evolved. I mean, you know, it started off as just a web shop, B2C, where, you know, you could just come buy products. But now it's turned into so much more. I mean, we run workshops now where we teach you and empower you on how to take care of your natural hair from a scientific yet practical perspective. Now I went to study hair further, and I will soon become a qualified trichologist. And for those of you that don't know what that is,
look at that.
Yeah, it's a study of diseases and conditions of the hair and scalp. So it's not just about your hair, but also what you're doing to your scalp. There are so many different issues, you know. So I Love Natural Hair has developed into so much more than just loving your natural
That's what I love about your business, because it's not just about the outside. Let's look at the inside. Do you know what I mean? What else is going on with you? And let's deal with it from the root, quite literally, you know? And I think that's the beauty about your business. You take them throughout the whole journey.
Yeah. Well, at least that's the plan. I hope that's what people are getting from it. I haven't had too many complaints so far. I don't think I've had any.
Oh, that's good.
It helps. But yeah, no, it's funny. I'm with my Instagram at the moment. Actually, I'm kind of going through a bit of a crisis. I'm thinking more. I'm definitely thinking more about the colours that I use. I'm experimenting a bit. You can probably see that as you look up and down, that things rapidly change. But it's just also because it's really important to me that, you know, when you see certain colours or when you see the logo, that you think of me. So I'm definitely thinking about that in a way that I wasn't thinking about before, because these things are really, really important. But maybe we can talk after.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me out afterwards. But yeah.
But I think that's the, I guess, the common problem that a lot of people face, especially when it comes to Instagram, because we're used to putting content out there and just thinking of it as just individual posts. But obviously when you get platforms like Instagram, it's being seen as a collective as well as individual posts, you know? So yeah, you're right in the sense, okay, now let's look at the whole collection. What does this actually all look like together, and how do we continue that story, and how does it make it flow throughout, you know? And that's even something I've been just rediscovering myself. I think as we go along, our brands change, who we are changes, you know? So being able to understand that formula, if you like, the formula that matches us the best way, is something that it does take time to figure out. You know, sometimes I know people just do it linear structure. Some people do it like a checkerboard structure, you know?
I'm
at the
actually
same time, it's just
experimenting with this checkered board.
That's what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah. You see how it works. Because for me, I do it. I have like a, I guess you can say like a life shot, if you know, like a real photograph type of thing. And then next would be like a yellow, because obviously yellow right now is my main brand color. But I do have other secondary colors, and I think I'm actually going to start introducing them probably next month. Do like a color a month, you know. So that's something to also think about. So I do a live shot, then I'll have the yellow, and then I'll have a live shot, then the yellow. And within those live shots, I'll be talking about whatever's going on during this time. Do you know what I mean? So it could be my masterclass. It could be something that's just happened to me personally, or that kind of a thing, a story element, you know?
Yeah.
But then equally within the yellow, it could be a thought-provoking moment. It could be anything. And that's the beauty of it, because I love just the fact that it doesn't have to be just a stark yellow image. It can also be like a quote. It can be anything that I want it to be. So I kind of like that little aspect. So that's something for you to think about as well. So what are you using the red for, you know? Or maybe you introduce the black as well. So maybe you have red and black.
That's actually where I was going. It's actually because of you, I'm thinking so much more about the colours and the way it, you know, the way it looks as a whole, and there's a whole science behind it. I mean, people go to university to study these kind of things, so I'm learning. You're
learning, and that's all we can ever do is just learn. Every day is a learning curve. Do you know what I mean? And we're all still figuring it out. But and I think that's the important thing to understand is we're in business, as much as we see certain people get to those levels. But you know what, we're also going to be getting to those levels, but we're just going to take our time doing it. Don't watch anybody else's journey, because at the same time, or watch them for inspiration. But don't watch them to feel demotivated, you know. And I think the levels that you're at the moment anyway is just I'm just impressed with what you do. And then equally, let's talk a bit about your hair brand as well. Just the packaging. Again, you don't just deal with hair care products. You don't just deal with the scalp. We deal with the aftercare as well, you know. And I love that you literally cover all corners. And I think some business, obviously we start off in business having this one idea, which is absolutely fine. But I always get people to also think about, what is your objective? Where do you actually see this business? And now we can't predict anything, because look at what 2020 has showed us, right? But at the same time, we can always have a vision in mind as to where we actually see our brand taking us, you know? What do we actually see for it? So I'm wondering, actually, did you actually have in mind the idea that you wanted to take your hair care regime to the whole levels that it is right now?
Actually, I would be lying to you if I told you that I had a plan. Everything has been really, really organic. I think what's really important is that when you're building a business, that you're always open to change and being fully aware of changing with the times and moving and not being stuck. For example, you know, having an online business where possible, if you're going to be someone that's like, no, I don't want to put my website online, you're going to get left behind. I mean, you've got to be adaptable. You have to move with the way that times are changing, and I know that sometimes that can be uncomfortable. But no, everything's been organic. When I see that there's a market or a need or a gap, then I'm like, okay, how can I fill that gap? What is it I can do? So, for example, with some of the customers that I knew that they were searching for pillowcases, or I knew they were searching for microfiber towels, or some of the different aftercare products that they need. And I thought, well, rather than buying other people's, why don't I make my own?
Done. Yes, exactly. You have the talent.
Well, you know, actually, my talent is knowing where my weaknesses are, and then finding the people that can help me to build that. That's my talent, because I know that I don't know it all. So I find the people that do know the answers, and you are one of them. Hence, I came to you to help me to put everything together.
And I think that's a key point, actually, when knowing that you don't have to do it all. You know, because and I get it. Sometimes funds are tight and whatnot, but even still, there are ways around being resourceful in terms of like learning. Okay, I can't quite afford this much, but I know what I can do, you know, and I know what I can make happen. But then equally, it's understanding, okay, what did I just spend last week, you know, and did I really even need that? But you know, but I think you're right in the sense where you're saying, learning where, or not learning, understanding where your limits are in some senses. I always believe that we are limitless in the ideas that we have, you know, but in what we can do, let's work that smart, in that kind of smarter way. We don't have to do everything. Yes, in some cases we probably could, but you know,
and not feeling intimidated by other people's strengths.
Yes,
you can use them. So, you know, it doesn't make me stupid or any less relevant because I'm not good in a certain area. But because I know where my weaknesses are, it's just important that, you know, I can empower other people with their strengths without taking away from myself to kind of help me with my vision. Anyway, I love meeting people who are just good at what they do. I mean, it's amazing. You can't be good at everything.
It's inspiring. No, you can't. I always find it inspiring, especially learning about other people's areas of expertise or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and just for me, for what I do, just meeting all the businesses or the people even just starting out, it's always cool. I always get pumped up even more than they do sometimes, because I guess they're at that stage sometimes where they're still discovering what that journey is. But I'm already foreseeing, okay, no, I so see this, how it could go. Obviously, I'm not any kind of predictor or whatever, a fortune teller. But at the same time, I see the beauty in it, you know? And then I guess when you're at the beginning, it's always scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
But understanding that when you get certain things in place, things start clicking. Absolutely. And things start moving in a really cool kind of a way. But you kind of touched base on it just a minute ago.
Yeah.
What is it? You were talking about adapting to the times, basically. So let's now talk about the effects of lockdown, the joy of last year. I say joy. What did the lockdown sort of teach you? What did this whole last year teach you? You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to your business and your whole branding. What did it kind of like encourage you to do more of, let's say?
What did it teach me? We've only got, another 10 minutes? I don't think we've got enough time to talk about what Corona has taught me. I mean, I don't even know where to start with that. Okay, it's taught me that you need to plan and have things in place, but also understanding that things can go wrong, preparing for every eventuality. It's taught me to have multiple sources of income, because at any one time, that main source that you might be relying on could dry up within a second, and then you've lost everything. Adaptability is important. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, I knew Corona was coming and that's why I had a web shop. I mean, only God knows why I made that decision to do that 10 years ago. It was one of the best decisions I could have made. And even though Corona has been tough in some senses, I would say business-wise, having a web shop was one of the best decisions I could have made, because, you know, for that time when everyone was at home, everybody was shopping it, you know, shopping online. But to be honest, I think Corona kind of heightened that, because we were going in that direction anyway. I mean, you'd watch the news and you'd hear about the high streets. There wasn't as much footfall. So I already feel like there were indicators already that we should, if you had a business, you already had to somehow find a way that it should be online. I think that Corona sped that up. So if you were already not prepared, you were just going to get swallowed up with everybody else. But also with my workshops, they were face to face, and I like that because I also think human contact is really important, but I had to adapt really quickly, so I had to make sure that it was viable to have it online. So when I talk about being adaptable and not being afraid of change, that's really important. If you were like, oh no, I'm just going to close down the workshops because I can't see anyone face to face, then everyone's going to starve, you know.
I was just about to say, it gets you creative. It makes people creative. You know?
Definitely. Also, business increased for me though, because I was online, so it didn't hit me as hard. I think if I did have any problems, it was more that, you know, when I was trying to get products from abroad, or if I was drop shipping, trying to get hold of my products because everyone was doing the same thing became a little bit crazy. Like the waiting time was extended, and that became stressful because people are waiting for stuff, and you know, that was out of my control. But otherwise, it's actually been positive. But like I said, it's just learning to be resourceful. So now, you know, I'm trying to create other streams so that, you know, I'm not just relying on my web shop. I'm trying to find other ways, you know, whether it's online or eventually I do believe that we will open up at some point. But also,
I believe so.
Yeah, me too. But also being ready, because I don't know if I think this is going to be the only pandemic that we encounter. So the question is, are you ready for the next one? Not to bring it soon, but you know, if this happens again, are you ready? What things do you have in place? you know, if something like this happens again, because I don't believe this is going to be the last time, unfortunately.
Yeah, this world moves way too quickly for you know, certain things. But that being said, though, I think last year also encouraged people to slow down a bit and to rethink things, you know, as well. But I wonder where you're, for those of you who don't know, by the way, folks, so Carriene is actually based in the lovely Denmark. Have you found any differences? Because you've had the luxury of basically working with two different kinds of audiences, I say countries or culturally type of thing. So have you how have you worked with the different types of audience and their needs, or have you just felt that there hasn't been any change at all?
When you're talking about the audiences, you mean with my like business, like when I'm advertising to them, or
the way that you speak to your audiences, does your message, so obviously your message will always remain consistent no matter who you talk to, but in terms of like the way you have to sort of word certain things, or is, you know, the what am I trying to get at? Has your audience's attitudes changed depending on where you're sort of, have you noticed that?
No, I think for me, actually being myself, because I'm, you know, I'm not Danish, so you know, I don't fit the norm, whatever that might be. And I think actually my difference is my strength.
Good.
And I, of course, I need to post to my target audience, but I also post stuff that I'm proud of and that's interesting with them in mind. But sometimes I think that when you're too customer focused and you're always posting to please other people, then you can also possibly lose yourself, you know. And I think I'm hoping that people buy into what I'm selling, because also I suppose it's a reflection of who I am. That's why it's important to post what reflects me, you know. And there's only one of me. And
amen
that's
to that.
Yeah.
And I'm so pleased that you said that. I was hoping you would say something. Because it's so important. People buy, the typical saying is people buy from people, because it's the truth, you know. And people need to resonate with who Carriene is, you know, and equally whoever anybody else is, they need to be able to resonate with them. They need to be inspired by them.
And listen, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. That's okay. You can love me or hate me. That's all right. You know, that's the power of choosing. You don't like something, you keep it moving. You scroll past.
Yes.
But I think it's important just to be myself, and you either buy into that, you know. And if I can't offer you what you're looking for, do you know, the internet is a big place. There's a wealth of people that I'm sure can meet your needs. But I just feel like being authentic, just being myself. But in terms of the audiences, I think that actually I bring something different to the Danish market. I think actually if I were doing this from the UK, I'm a dime a dozen. You know, it's too big and there are too many people. Of course I'm unique, but there are too many people like me, but it's not really the same here in Denmark. So I bring something different to the table. So that's actually been a positive for me. At the same time though, I write in English, so I don't put my posts in Danish. So of course it might not be to every Dane's cup of tea, but I also did that because I wanted others, whether you're in the UK or any other English speaking country, to be able to find something from me. So then the language is in English. And occasionally you might see the odd Danish word, but being yourself, I think, you know, you're unique and only you can bring what you bring, you know. So and I suppose it goes in line with the whole I love natural hair, just being naturally you.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like. Yeah,
full
totally.
circle. Yeah, I love that.
But it's the truth, you know. So maybe it's a bit old fashioned. I'm from the generation where, you know, you just kind of accept yourself for who you are. Of course you change to become better. Maybe we live now in a slightly different, you don't like something, you change it. And that can be good. And sometimes not, but anyway, I mean, you have to choose. You have to find your own path, don't you?
Well, this is it. I was going to say, sometimes the path you choose isn't quite necessarily the path that you should be taking, but it's your journey to be taking, you know. And you've got to, and I always say, like, your failures are your lessons learned, and I'm pretty sure everybody says, a lot of people will say that, but I think it's putting that spin on it. We've invested in time. And sometimes that time, what am I trying to say here? Not every journey is a great journey, but at the same time, it's time that has been invested to make you today.
Yeah, and I think every failure that you have, that you shouldn't see it as a bad thing, just to kind of make it a bit relevant. For example, do you remember when I had the idea to make those bags for flying?
Yes.
And you know, do you know, I still have those samples sitting in my bedroom, and I still look at them. I think the branding is brilliant. I think I still want to keep the way that the logo looks and everything, but maybe it'll be put on something else. And I learned everything there was to learn about manufacturing, how to drop ship, like everything that was needed, because who knew that I was going to come up with something else, manufacturing something completely different. And all the lessons that I had learned from those bags that I attempted to make that failed, it serves its purpose. It helped me with,
I was just about to say, it was not done in vain.
Not at all. Not at all. You know, I think we should look at failure differently. It's basically what not to do for the next time. It doesn't mean that, you know, your life is going to end or it's the end of the world. It's just a learning curve.
It really is. It's all learning. As I said, we're forever learning. I'm learning. Everybody's learning. Even the people who higher up on those higher levels, they're always learning, you know. But it's what makes us better.
Absolutely.
It's what makes us better, and the way we use that and the way we get pushed forwards with that is what's the added gem to what we do. You know.
Absolutely, I agree.